This week's episode of This Is Only a Test is brought to you by AppRiver. If you own a business, no matter how big or small, email hackers and scammers are coming after you. AppRiver can make your company a much harder target. They have affordable services like spam and virus filtering, email encryption, and web threat protection to keep you safe. They also back their services with live 24/7 US-based support at no additional charge. Try AppRiver services free for 30 days by visiting APPRIVER. That's appriver.com/test.
Hey, let's start the show.
For Thursday, November 30th, 2017, welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. Welcome, everyone, and hope your bellies are full of leftover turkey, because we're back from Thanksgiving with a very special podcast last week. Blast from the past, Will Smith, Gary Whitta. But now we're back to a semi-normal crew, taking phone calls in the middle of the phone.
That was from Mexico. That was from Mexico.
Whoa.
And I said no.
You said no. International call. Jeremy Williams.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
All right. You're feeling a little sick, I hear?
A little under the weather. The whole
Ooh.
family's sick, and so I left. And I came here.
Okay. Well, Kishore couldn't even bother to show up. So in his stead, we have special guest Danica. How's it going, Danica?
Good. I'm also kind of getting over some sort of something rather.
Oh, is this your first time on this podcast?
It is, which is why I don't understand. You said this is the regular crew. This is my debut on this podcast.
We have a semi-regular crew, 2/3 of a regular crew. You've been on the other podcast before.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
Are we not going to introduce Danica? It's her first time on the show.
is Danica's first time on This Is Only a Test.
And her last name being?
Her last name is, her last name's Chan.
Yes. This is...
I like how weird
I have now
this has all been
I'm
made.
sitting between you guys here on her first time on the show, and I feel very awkward over here.
Thanks, Jeremy, for sharing that with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about Thanksgiving. How are your Thanksgivings, Jeremy? I know how Danica's Thanksgiving was, but how was yours?
Well, it was all right. I went to Virginia, which is probably where I caught this cold, up in the mountains, and it was a beautiful time. I missed Black Friday, as I always do, but I was thinking about Kishore in line for his Best Buy kiosk inside the airport at midnight, and I was hoping he did that.
Did he?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I did hop on Cyber Monday, though, and I was at Best Buy Monday trying to get one of these PlayStation 4 Slims for $199 like the rest of the country, and I failed. I failed miserably.
You waited in line.
No, I didn't wait in line. No,
Oh.
I looked online, and they said that
okay.
they had them, and I went, and they lied. They just wanted me to come in the store.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
But you had good turkey? Did you do any spatchcocking? Any Will
No,
Smith?
that's the problem with my Thanksgiving is my family gets together at a hotel. And so there isn't the home cooking. It's hotel
Why
cooking.
is it a hotel?
Because my
Is it-
grandparents did this, for years, like 30 years. It's just a tradition.
Is it 'cause it's a
this
big
is what we do.
family?
Yeah, it's a big
So
family.
it just hasn't found a new home.
No.
No one's picked up the mantle.
No. So we still
Wait. Do you rent a ballroom? Is it catering?
No,
many
it's just-
hotels won't let you bring your own food.
No, you don't bring your own food. No, you order food. Some people have the fish. Some people have the turkey.
So it's like the hotel, the cafe/restaurant that's typically attached to a hotel. You make them work on Thanksgiving night, and have them host your Thanksgiving dinner.
I mean, I assume their bosses make them work. I just happen to show up and there's people there, and I appreciate
Are there
that.
other people actually eating there on Thanksgiving?
What are you talking about?
Like families or like
Yeah.
travelers?
I'm telling you, I just told you I do that.
That's beside your family.
Oh,
I mean, like, is
yeah.
your family the only family there, or are there
No,
other
this-
people?
This is like a big holiday weekend. So yeah, I mean, a lot of families are there.
So it's like this restaurant is made for families to come in to have Thanksgiving dinner.
Mhm.
Like they have a Thanksgiving special for their holiday for
Yeah.
that Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. How
Yeah.
many tables you guys do?
2 tables.
Okay, so it's not small, not insignificant.
That's my brother. I mean, not my brother. My dad and his brother, and so all their families. It's
It's the same hotel every year.
It's probably 30 people. Yeah, it is.
Same hotel. They welcome the Williams every year.
They do.
Wow. roll out that carpet, have turkey. The activities for the children.
Now you're making me feel bad because
Yeah.
they all worked on Thanksgiving.
I'm sure they were happy to be part of a family.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them didn't have families on their own.
You guys traveled too. We were on the East Coast together.
We were all on the East Coast. Even Kishore was on the East Coast. I think he left a week before to go to Florida, and then Danica and we flew to Indianapolis, which is where Danica's from and her family's from. And so we had Thanksgiving technically in Ohio, but flew out there to see a real Midwest winter, late fall.
Yeah, it was weirdly warm. It wasn't legit.
I'm not from the Midwest. I have no real connection to how that part of the country is run. And so it's always a surprise to me, an eye-opening trip for me to see, one, how flat the country is and how spread apart things are. Even in residential areas, everything is kind of spread apart, you know. It made me feel, to me, it felt very much Stranger Things.
I can see that.
No, the best part, though, is when we're driving on a road, just a normal road, and Norm is mesmerized and just shocked and delighted at how far back the houses are set. So these people, like, it's very common to have a giant front yard.
I am not aware
Sprawling,
of what these things are.
And it's the strangest thing to him. And I didn't think about it, of course, until he brought it up, but it's very, very different.
Yeah. So you think Stranger Things when you see that?
I think Stranger Things when I see big residential streets spread apart. Like, it makes sense why kids have to ride bikes, get everywhere, and can't just walk or take public transportation because everything is flat and spread far apart, and there are woods everywhere.
Stranger Things is referencing movies from 30 years ago, though. I mean,
but it's also
seen
set
those?
in the Midwest,
And that was set, like, those are referencing real life.
Yeah,
So this has been around for a long
this
time.
is just fresh in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
Right. And Goonies was Goonie was a coastal city.
Very
Yeah.
different. Very different.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's
no
different.
front yard there.
No. Goonies had a little bit of front. It was more hilly. That was more relatable to me in San Francisco.
You know, the Midwest, you said it's like you're not familiar with how it's run. What they do well is snow.
Yeah.
Like, they handle snow. I grew up on the East Coast, and you'd see, like, schools shut down if there was a chance of snow. But and then I lived in Madison, Wisconsin, and Chicago for a number of years. And man, like, they don't mess around. It's like all the alleys, all the streets, they know how to handle this stuff.
Yeah, and there are definitely different, like, just different brands of things. You know, you don't have your Safeways out there. You have your Krogers and your.
I think there's also Safeway, but like Kroger and Marsh.
I don't know what
See,
these
Marsh
things
is
are.
Marsh is
Mayer.
a big one.
Meyer.
Meyer.
Meyer is a big thing there. Everything is big box type stores, Walmarts, and big Toys R Us's even. Lots of Arby's. Very happy to see a lot of Arby's.
Yeah, but so much fast food in general. We're here where it's difficult to come by a drive-through. It is a landscape based on drive-throughs.
Toys R Us is on life support. If you want to go there, you got to go now.
Yeah, you know, they're running ads for Black Friday and for it was like "Play Today" was their tagline. It's like they might not be here tomorrow, right?
Play while you can.
Play
God,
today.
that is so dark.
Right.
It's so dark.
Well, speaking of Black Friday and the general shopping season, so you didn't pick up. You were looking for deals. I mean, Black Friday's evolved and changed over the couple of even the years we've been doing this podcast. And what it was 7 years ago when we started this is only a test is very different than how Black Friday is celebrated. It's definitely muted. I mean, we have these events that like Amazon puts on, Prime Day, a lot of big shopping days spread throughout the year.
Yeah.
It becomes less of this event on this one weekend, and even the weekend is spread thin between Thursday night, Friday, Small Business Saturday. I don't even know what Sunday is.
I didn't know about that. Small Business Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
Small Business Saturday is massive.
Yeah, we participated in Indianapolis. So we went to Mass Ave, which is a great shopping district,
Yeah.
and we were in Broadville Village, which has some nice shops. But yeah, it's a big thing.
But like stores actually have signs that get distributed, like balloons and stuff for Small Business Saturday and discounts for shopping on that day in store. So like FedEx, Kinko's does signage to give out to all the local storefronts to encourage people to walk around the streets and shop on Saturday.
Or it might be the neighborhood association. I don't
Or
But
whatever.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know what Sunday is, and of course Cyber Monday, people returning back to their offices and buying stuff online. Even though I think we were reading about like last year or 2 years ago, most people did their shopping on their phones, on mobile, on Black Friday or even Thursday night. So PS4 Slim, you can get your $200 PS4 Slim.
No. I
know. That was the thing you wanted. The one thing you wanted.
Well,
this
because
year.
our PlayStation broke, and so we need a new one.
No PS4 Pro.
No, because I want to avoid it breaking again. You see, it broke because it was confined in a small amount of space.
And the heat overheated.
It was way overheated.
Oh.
It sounds like a vacuum cleaner when the fan really turns on.
Yeah.
So I want the small guy.
So what about, was it an opportunity for you to jump aboard and get a Xbox One S?
But we have
At a similar price?
I worked on the PlayStation project so many years ago, so I felt like I was in that family. PS4, I think, won at least out of the gate for this past generation. I have things invested on that platform. I have all my library.
You're not a 4K guy. Not yet.
Yet.
I am. I have a 4K TV, but I don't.
You don't have anything that you jump on a 4K and play to 4K?
I mean,
I guess you have your Apple TV.
Apple TV, and then all the stuff that's built in. It's a smart TV.
Yeah.
But no, I don't need to play the games in 4K yet.
All right. Well, the big news for me and us is we are now 4K people.
What?
We are 4K. We are 4Kers. TV Quest went by in 1 week, and TV Quest is now over.
TV Quest. Did you go LG?
I went LG. I went with the same model TV. So Gary was on the podcast last week, and he went on at lengths about how great his TV is, which is true. We've seen it. We went to his house and sat on his couch and watched.
The strut.
He strutted
The 4K
out.
strut.
Yep, which was Planet Earth 2, YouTube, Netflix, Apple TV.
I believe there's an open invitation from Gary for anybody to come.
Anyone,
do that.
any listeners to the podcast,
Yeah.
just tweet him. He'll let you come by. Bring a pie, sit on his couch, and watch some Planet Earth 2. Have your eyeballs massaged. And we're gonna have this be the case as well. So went with the LG did the research. You never really as much research as you can do when you're trying to make recommendations or when you're trying to be informed about a technology. Your research is never as invested as when you're actually going to spend the money yourself. And so did all the forum reading, did the Wirecutter reading, read all your the ratings.com and everything, and really it was a question between getting a very large LED LCD and an OLED. And was this the right year for OLED? Because OLEDs are still pricey. And
Not like they used to be, though.
not like they used to be. I mean, remember back when the Metreon at the Sony store and their big showpiece was like that
Yeah.
10-inch
Even a
OLED?
couple years ago, like twice as much.
Yeah.
And you weren't getting 4K like this year.
And yes. And so OLED, 4K, and HDR, you have there are three big checkboxes there and a size that I would want. The LG was one to go with because there's a great Sony OLED, but it turns out the Sony OLED also uses just an LG panel. And
the Sony has an interesting sound, right?
yes,
They
it's
turned
built into
The
the
display
glass.
is some sort of resonant sound.
Right, and we have a friend who actually bought that Sony, so we're gonna go check it out hopefully later this week.
Yeah,
just
neat.
to
Be curious what it sounds like.
see what the sound. But we have sound system. We don't need. Or a sound bar would be good enough. And then I believe if you're looking for an OLED TV right now, the one I got was the LG OLED B7 model. 7 indicates 2017 as the year, so this year's model. And there's a B7, a C7, and an E7. I think a lot of high-end AV guys, the AV reviewers, go with the E7. Gary went with the C7, which is about $500 more than the B7. That one has built-in Dolby Atmos decoding and has extra component ins if you want that. Don't need that. But I'm not going to use the TV built-in speakers anyway, so I don't need the Atmos decoding. So in the B7, ended up being about $2,000, a little over $2,000.
Was it a deal on Black Friday?
It was definitely a deal.
It was.
Yes.
Right.
And if you look at the spectrum of pricing, right, if you look at the highest price, basically is going to be second to the manufacturer. The highest price is like Best Buy. Like Best Buy, and then Amazon is usually like maybe $50 cheaper if you're lucky. And then there are a ton of these authorized/unauthorized retailers you can buy from. There's always a trap. There's always going to be like one or two of these retailers that have them priced for like significantly below what Best Buy would have it at, like $400 under that, and really grab your attention if you're doing like a Google shopping search. But those are bait and switch sites. And I'm not going to name any specific sites, but you should definitely, before you commit to buying, you should Google the name of that website and Google bait and switch just in case. Like, don't Google reviews because they'll populate reviews in forums, but Google bait and switch and name, and people will share their bad experiences. What happens is you may say, okay, oh my God, this TV is only $1,700. Go place an order, and then go for the free shipping, and then they'll have a representative call you and say, well, this is if you want the non 6-week shipping, then you can pay another $200 for shipping, and you also may not get a warranty because they're not authorized retailers. Fry's had an amazing deal. So like the big coupon clipping win, I think, of this holiday season, where people discovered Fry's had an ad that in store you could get the LG B6 or C6, meaning the 2016 models, for a very attractive price, like $1,800, when the normal price would be like $2,400. And that was because they don't actually have any of the 2016 models in stock. And so their advertised deal worked for the 2017 models, but with the pricing of the 2016 prices.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
So if you were lucky enough to find a Fry's, and this might still apply if there's still stock, my recommendation, if you're looking for a 4K TV and you want to get that LG OLED, because that's the one that everyone recommends, see if you can find a Fry's near you and find that Black Friday holiday season sale and get that pricing. But so we got a TV. It's not coming for maybe a week or two. Hopefully have it by Christmas.
Oh, you don't even have it yet?
Don't even have it yet. No, bought it online.
Oh, good. So we can
Yeah.
spend 10 more minutes on your TV
Absolutely.
next week.
Yes, yes. The anticipation. But it's the ecosystem, right? Like, yeah, they're built-in apps, but what are you going to play on it? And I went into the whole, you're going to spend this much money on TV, but then you got to get like a 4K player, right? Like a disc player if you want the uncompressed
Ooh,
non-stream.
Really? Like, I know that this is a big deal. Like, there's whole kiosks for the 4K media, but the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
But really, are people buying them, or is it all digital now? Because for me, I'm just buying everything on iTunes.
If I'm going to get, I think if I had like a non-OLED and non-HDR, iTunes streaming is fine for 4K. But if I want the high bit rate,
And it is higher. You're absolutely right.
and I want the HDR, and I want the best possible quality and the archival quality I can get, I'm going to get a player.
But you got to compare them, man. I mean,
and that's what I'll be doing.
Great, because I really feel like the streaming stuff from iTunes is definitely cross the line of good enough for me.
There's good enough, and then there's knowing that you spent the money to get the best possible solution,
Yeah, but there's
which we're going
also-
to appreciate.
Yes, of course, but there is a problem with trying to modernize how to store physical media, which is a pain.
Yeah, disc changer? You said
Just-
disc changer.
No, not disc changer. I mean, like a disc player,
I know,
right? So you
yeah.
need like the Xbox One S will do it for $200. The Xbox One
Right.
X Scorpio will do it for $500. And apparently some of those have issues as well with Dolby Atmos decoding. Microsoft issued a new a patch over the weekend.
Atmos is sound?
It's sound, the Dolby sound decoding. And then the disc, right? Like, there's the TV side of it, and yes, there's the streaming side of it. You can like buy into an Apple TV, like $180. You can get a new Apple TV 4K, and all your old movies will get upgraded to 4K except for the Disney ones.
Yep.
And if they
are
are right, and but if you're gonna buy discs, it felt like it was 1998 again, where I was reading DVD reviews. You remember doing this? Like,
Yeah.
in '98, you're going reading DVD reviews, like, oh, what's the best DVD I could get?
Yeah.
And then what's the best encode, and reading like the image quality and sound quality. I was doing that over the weekend for 4K discs because we're back at the beginning again. We're like, we don't know whether it's a 2K, digital intermediate that got turned into a 4K disc, whether it's like the HDR is worth it or some scenes actually look worse.
Yeah.
Whether I don't care about like the bonus features as much, but the discs are like $30. They're $20 to $30,
And they
for
take
a
up
4K
space.
disc, and they take up physical
So,
space.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
maybe you remember, but when DVD players were first becoming very common, like the boom of DVD players, they were often bundled with a few DVDs. And I remember two of them. I'm forgetting one of them, and I'm wondering if you can fill it in. So, two of them that we know, The Matrix
Yeah.
and Backdraft.
Those are the two.
Those are the two. There's
that were
one
bundled?
more that was super popular that was like it came with your DVD player as a showcase of how awesome this new tech is.
Yeah, no, I would have said The Matrix. I felt like that was definitely the system seller.
What was your first first DVD?
First DVD?
First DVD, the one that you went into a store
I have no
and
idea.
bought.
I don't remember.
I know what my first DVD was.
Really?
It was Braveheart.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I bought it at Barnes & Noble's. My second DVD was Starship Troopers.
Nice. That's aged
Yeah.
better. than Braveheart.
I know what my first CD was,
Oh, wow.
and I
Oh,
guarantee
man.
you, I'm the only one of our listeners that bought this CD.
Oh boy.
It was
Go
it was
on.
Bruce Willis and the Legend of Bruno.
No, is it the Return of Bruno?
Oh, whoa.
No, I know
You
this
are
because-
right. You're right. It
I
is
know
the Return
this
of Bruno.
because I've seen the vinyl.
Yeah.
I used to make things out of vinyl records, and that one was hilarious to me. So I had that one, but
Yeah.
I cut it up and made it into
That's
something.
amazing. You correctly corrected me on
Yeah.
the title of the album.
Well, you're talking about music,
Mhm.
and you're talking about weird pop culture trivia. This is my wheelhouse.
There you go.
Speaking of vinyl, something that's going to be going on sale in the near future that I have an eye on. It was originally a kickstarted thing. It was the Voyager record, the Voyager Golden record. So this was
Oh, this is not Star Trek Voyager.
no. Well, it's Star Trek the motion picture. It's Voyager. Voyager come back.
Very good. Very good.
Right?
Yeah.
So the famously on the Voyager, two of the Voyager probes, we have the Golden record, which had Carl Sagan had helped produce, and a collection of audio to showcase Earth culture. And recently, last year, there was a Kickstarter launched by Osmo Records, and to re-release that record for consumers, and they ship them. People have them. Adam has a copy, Ariel has a copy, or Waldman has a copy, and I did not get in on this. But they're going to go into public sale. They're actually doing two releases. One, they're doing a CD release. I don't think that's as cool.
What?
Why would you want this the CD release, right?
It's got to be a CD-ROM, right?
No. Oh, it's a CD.
But that's the awesome thing about this record is that there's digital files on it.
Right.
There are images encoded onto this record. That's what blew my mind when I finally looked into the record.
I think the CD is just the audio. It's an audio CD.
Oh well.
So, yeah, it's the analog tapes remastered on the two CDs. The images that were encoded are scanned and put in the box set, so you can see the images. But the actual LPs, there's going to be a 3 LP set released early next year. So if you go to the website is lightinthearctic.net, you can get bookmark that for I think February is when they're going to release that 3 LP set. If you missed out, like me, on that Kickstarter,
How much is the LP?
I believe it's going to be $100 is what they're selling the set for.
2 CDs in a book is $50.
$50, yeah. I did also going back to 4K just a little bit.
Yeah.
Buy Planet Earth 2 4K. Yes,
Okay.
I think that's the system seller.
Yeah.
I think Planet Earth 1, that Blu-ray, was probably the system seller for Blu-rays.
Yeah.
If you want to go into and you're getting a lot. You're getting 6 hours of David Attenborough and gorgeous nature shots in 4K HDR.
Yeah. Or Sigourney Weaver back in the day. Like if you chose the American version.
Was it Sigourney Weaver?
I thought so.
Wasn't Jodie
No,
Foster?
Oh, was it Jodie?
Oh, I can't remember.
But everybody got the
But I
David
wanna
Attenborough.
believe it.
You want to get a David Attenborough one. Yeah, you want to get that one.
No, I don't know. I'd like it when Sigourney Weaver tells me anything.
But it was a different script. That was the weird thing. Is that they didn't read the same things.
Why wouldn't they do that?
They dumbed it down for us.
Sounds about right.
It's unfortunate. The other 4K Blu-ray I tapped into was The Fifth Element. So Bruce Willis, going back to Bruce Willis.
Yeah, but that's good.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's one you can feel good about.
Yeah. Did you know Criterion doesn't do 4K Blu-ray releases?
Oh, that's interesting.
Ever or yet?
They have no plans to.
Why not?
Demand may not be there. Because
It costs a lot of money.
Well, they do all their rips all their remasters in 4K. They're
Right.
doing 4K scans of the original negatives.
So you're
when they
saying
do
the
those.
work's been done.
The work's been done. They just got to find a distribution model and a way to master it on disc in 4K. I think they got to do it eventually. I would be so down if Criterion did because there's a ton of great Criterion DVDs and even Blu-rays, right? Like you can buy some great Criterion DVDs and they're gonna look good. I would be down to get a monthly subscription service where every month you get a new Criterion 4K movie to watch on your 4K TV, the best of the best, maybe a gem, something that people may not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did great work on the DVDs.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the restoration. They also brought in new commentary tracks.
This
all
is
kinds of supplemental
It's
things.
the opposite of what Apple's doing. Like when you rent and buy something on iTunes,
Yeah.
do you get all the commentary tracks? Do you get all the bonus features? You get all the
They call
extra
it
stuff?
iTunes Extra.
Do you have to pay more for that?
No, I don't think so.
But do you actually enjoy it?
Look, I used to do DVD authoring, and I really liked that process of like making something that somebody used and delved into.
Yep.
And I feel like that's completely gone.
Yeah. I super unfortunate. Most people rent on iTunes because you don't store it, right? It's on your account. It's 100% streamed. Even if you own it, all you do is own a license to play it back whenever you want. But it's not tangible. It's like, so Criterion having the disc, having all that mastering, all the authoring, all that bonus stuff that they put in on the disc, having the nice, whatever case they use. I don't think they do the steelbook stuff yet, but that I think is a nice thing to have, and it's a nice gift to have too for the holidays.
No, wasn't it going back to Bruce Willis several years ago when Bruce Willis was going to sue Apple over not being able, not having ownership of his extensive iTunes collection? It was this big deal.
Was he the one? Was he the pioneer?
I think so. When it was realized that no, you haven't purchased this. It's not
right.
yours. You have purchased the ability to listen to it. And it was a big case.
It was fake news.
Was it?
Apparently, Bruce Willis did not sue iTunes. It was a UK Sunday Times published an unverified story, and it was refuted online.
Nice.
On Twitter.
Wow.
Yes.
Good fact checking, Norm.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Had to do it.
Look at you and your screen.
Yep.
So useful.
Yep. So that's our Thanksgiving catch up. Let's get to some pop culture.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Should we not mention what happened with the Switch?
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So I got a question for you, Jeremy, and we're gonna lead. Did you bring the Jedi challenges to Thanksgiving?
No.
Oh, what a
What?
missed opportunity!
You gotta be kidding me. I got
That
two
was
kids.
that was gonna be the thing to hold over every single child in your family.
It's like
at
you had the
Thanksgiving.
power and you chose to drop
You
it.
don't want to save Thanksgiving.
You could have been a hero.
There's no way I'm bringing the weird AR headset all the way over there. I mean, it's just we had no space. We had no space in our bags.
Got it.
That's
got
it. But it had people come to our house. Of course, I would have gotten that. I saw that at Best Buy on Cyber Monday.
You did?
Yeah. I thought I've used that.
Yeah, you reviewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we brought the Nintendo Switch to Thanksgiving, and Danica's family, our family with 5 children, it captured their attention.
The Switch.
It held them for 2 days.
It owned them.
It spellbound is how I would
Yeah.
describe their relationship.
And
with
it was harmonious.
They just wanted to. Some of them just
joyful.
wanted to. We rolled up. We drove
Filled
up
with
on a rental
wonderment.
car to the house, to Grandma's house, and they were peeking through the blinds
Just
waiting
for our arrival.
as we took the box. And then I brought in, and I was holding the dock, right?
The Californians are here.
And
What,
they're like,
Ella?
did you, first question, where's the Switch? Is that the Switch? I've never seen one in person.
They've brought technology.
I just
And
want to touch it.
Ripley. Keep that in mind. They
No.
also are all in love with Ripley.
They just wanted to touch it. They just want to hold it.
You brought Ripley on the plane?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How about
She's
Yeah.
flown many times. She's super fancy.
And the other thing I learned, so one, they love the Switch.
Yeah.
And they were very happy to play it. Super Mario Odyssey,
Yeah.
played 1, 2 Switch, played all the games.
Zelda.
Mario Kart and all that stuff. They knew, so they had never played with the Switch before. They had never seen one in person.
Uh-huh.
But they knew every level in Zelda and Mario.
These poor kids. You're telling me that they have friends who have the console?
No.
Or
No.
They've
Nope. Wait
No.
for it.
They've watched playthroughs of the entire game on YouTube multiple times
Aw.
already.
Yeah.
And then when they play it, but the question is, when they play it, is it less fun because there's no sense of discovery?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as fun.
I imagine
Yeah.
Mario is
Just
just
as fun.
as fun.
Because they just want to do the actions.
Yeah.
Get the combos, feel like that's the character that they saw. Like, their relationships with video games is so different than our relationship growing even like 10 years ago, even 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I made fun of people for watching the end of, watching Portal playthroughs, and Portal 2 playthroughs, because they didn't want to get spoiled, or because they didn't want to get stuck at a point, because there's so much satisfaction in that discovery.
Mm-hmm.
But kids these days can watch a whole Zelda playthrough and then still have just as much fun going like, oh, I remember that was in that video. Now I'm exploring it. And
You
now
can't
I'm
prove
there.
that. You can't prove that. They might not have had.
The smiles
This
on their
test group
face.
was strong.
Yeah, but we didn't have a control. It would have been nice to have seen somebody who hadn't played through yet or seen it yet, because there's some reveals. You don't want to read the Cliff Notes before you read the novel.
Some people do. That's what I learned. It was sad for me.
Yeah,
it
I
was a
can
little
imagine.
sad. Yeah. All right. So, bunch of stuff happening in pop culture this week. One of which, maybe we will save for a special appearance.
Wow.
But there's let's talk about Marvel movies.
Yep.
Was it Variety? Variety had a big cover story featuring the cast of Marvel's upcoming film Infinity War, and they had photos of all the cast members.
Well, that's not even the next Marvel movie. That's the weird thing.
Next Marvel movie is
Black Panther.
Black Panther in February. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess Thor was the holiday movie. Black Panther is the next one, and then the big one with all the characters is in May. And in this story, they talked about how this is the end of their phase 3, right? The Avengers kind of marks always the end of all the culmination of a 2-year, 3-year buildup. The actor's getting older. Robert Downey Jr. is definitely not getting younger, right? Contracts are ending. What happens? Does the universe get rebooted? Do they continue on? Do they retire heroes? Like, it's not like The Simpsons where they can be the same age for 25 years.
Right.
It's not like a comic book where you can have the same characters and just timeline doesn't pass.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvel has 20 more films already planned after this. 20.
No. After Avengers 4.
After
So,
2019.
Let's be clear. Avengers Infinity War isn't even the end.
No, that's part 1.
Yeah. So there's another Avengers on down the line. You're saying 2019?
2019.
So that marks the end of like the first half of this story. And
Has it been 20 films up to that story?
22, I think there's
22 films. Wow. So we're only halfway done. We're in the middle of a legacy.
It's just hard to imagine being able to keep things interesting enough
Yeah.
to go through. Like, even right now, people feel superhero fatigue.
Well, apparently, like this article alludes to a complete change, like
Okay.
all new.
I mean, it would have to be.
Like maybe not even Earth, like different side of the universe, just craziness, crazy change.
They got 7,000 characters in their roster.
Yeah.
They can. It doesn't need to be. They've done 3 Iron Man movies. I don't expect another wave of Iron Man movies. Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity. I think with 22 films and all the money that they've made,
Well,
and the different styles of films, even within the same characters.
I mean, recently we have seen a lot of experimentation with tone and with story and even with vulgarity, which I think have paid off. So there's a lot of space to run in as far as keeping things interesting if they're willing to be bold enough to do it or to try it.
Yeah.
Well,
Will they try it?
And they have to if they're going to do 50 films.
Yeah.
You would hope that they would value that.
Would Disney allow an R-rated movie?
I don't think so. I think that the expectations for these 20 films that are coming post Avengers 4 are still going to be, the expectation is going to be, let these films have to make $800 million worldwide. They all be events. They're going to do 3 or 4 a year for maybe 3 a year for 6 years or something. And they can't risk the rated R. That's for someone like Fox to do.
I bet they come to a point where they have to.
It's a lot of
because
movies.
This is
You think there'll ever be a rated R Star Wars movie?
Oh, that would be great.
That would be amazing.
I mean, if they'll never stop making them, maybe.
I mean, when you're doing these one-offs like Rogue One, I think you have more flexibility to be more daring, and that would be what my hope is. Just because at some point,
Or do
these
you
are so formulaic. Every time you see one of these films, no matter how good it is, no matter how good the script is, how interesting whatever is, it still follows a formula that is so familiar. And if you're getting too much of it, then it's just flooding the market with more stuff. You lose interest.
Gary said last week, it's the Little Miss Sunshine thing, story writing points. It's never interesting when the world's in danger. What is at risk?
What would a rated R Star Wars movie do? Because there isn't swearing in Star
I mean,
Wars.
there could be sex. There's no sex.
There would have to be nudity because they already got violence. The violence doesn't make a rated R movie unless it's really gory.
Swearing?
No, you can't.
Why not?
I just don't imagine there is swearing in the Star Wars universe.
I feel like
Why
there's
would it be
enough-
swearing?
But there wasn't in Star Trek either. And look what happened.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Star Trek is set in our timeline. Star Wars more
Yeah.
fantasy, and every time you watch Star Wars, they're not speaking English. They never say English. They never say America.
Yeah.
You're watching it through the universal translator of fantasy. So, what is the equivalent? They would have to make up a word, which doesn't have the same impact.
Exactly. It
Like,
doesn't get you an R rating.
Yeah. So Star Wars can completely bypass that. It would have to be gore. It would have to be like blood,
Yeah.
violence. I don't think they would go with sex. Disney, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Um,
They're kind of safe then.
Yeah.
They can make whatever movie they want for PG-13.
I mean, Disney Dark Era or Dark Age, didn't they have some I guess Watcher in the Woods even was like.
and they can have more
PG-13.
intense films, but
Yeah.
those can still be PG-13.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, and also the standards. What makes a film rated R and PG-13 that changes over time. And
Right.
Yeah.
in 5 years and 6 years, it may all still be PG-13.
But you do have to keep pushing the envelope. You can't keep doing the exact same thing. They're going to have to find some way to innovate, and it's likely going to push towards the extreme. And there's only so many extremes you can touch.
Well, this article is strictly about Marvel, and Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, says we are looking for worlds that are completely separate, geographically or in time, from the worlds we've already visited.
Wow, going back in the past,
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting.
or looking to the future, far future.
Has-
Very, very interesting.
Has DC announced their plans for what
They
that?
have not. They haven't commented on anything post Justice League. And I mean, they have films in the slate. Flash is apparently going to get a film, no director yet. They've been filming Aquaman, which is coming out, I think, end of next year. They talked about Joss Whedon doing a Batgirl movie in that universe.
Really?
Yep. And Jenna Malone was Barbara Gordon in the extended cut of Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman.
Right.
And what else? Wonder Woman 2, of course, 2019. So movies are on the slate. It's whether they're going to go with standalones or try to be cohesive with
But
the
they
show
don't have
universe.
like a big overarching idea of where the story is
I
heading.
don't think so. I don't think
And
they have
then
that type of...
Crescendoing.
No.
Like why Superman had to die. Will that be answered?
At the end of... Well, Superman had to die because it was calling back to the most popular storyline in the 90s. Death of Superman.
Yeah, but like you wasted Superman on a callback?
They don't have a lot of ideas, Jeremy. They really. You've seen the movies. I mean,
Yeah. What was I going to say about Marvel? Well, we'll talk about a trailer in a little bit. I think
with your special guest.
We'll have to get
Your
a
special guest.
special
How about you do
guest.
that with your special guest?
Yeah, we're gonna
See.
wait. The other movie that did well over the weekend, Coco, exceeded all expectations.
I can't wait to see this.
It's
Except
so good.
except yours for the short.
Well, I
that
didn't have to
precedes
see it.
Oh, you didn't. So you haven't seen it again?
No, haven't seen it
okay,
again.
okay,
We just saw the friends and family screening of Coco, but Coco was released over Thanksgiving holiday. It had already been the biggest grossing film in Mexico before that, and in the States it made $71 million, I think, over the holiday, which is massive. It's well ahead of Big Dinosaur and well in line with other Pixar's greatest hits.
The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, good. It's a Good Dinosaur. Yeah, the Good Dinosaur. Yep. And it had so a lot of ways you rate the films is you have the Rotten Tomatoes score, you have a critics the average score, Metacritic score.
Yeah.
But one of the things that studios really look to is what they call the cinema score. And the
Oh,
cinema
Norm,
score.
what is the cinema score?
Well, the cinema score, I think, it's a survey of viewers after they watch the film. They give it basically a
Exit poll.
A to A, exactly. It's A to F rating. It's done on a grade, and the cinema score may often wildly differ from the critic score. Some films are maybe critic proof. They're maybe crowd pleasers, but not very critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
And some movies, if they are critically acclaimed and they're crowd pleasers, it has a really good, strong correlation, R value, with the box office multiplier. So they look at the opening weekend box office, and then they hope for a multiplier over the lifespan of the film based on the time of year, other big weekends, whether school's out. All these things factor into box office. It's really fascinating for statistics. And the cinema score is strongly correlated with the multiplier and how long the legs are for the film. Mm-hmm. And a movie like Batman or Justice League, for example, I believe had a B+ cinema score, even though it had 49% Rotten Tomatoes and a relatively low Metacritic score. So maybe, and the movie did okay this last weekend. So they're thinking that movie can maybe get into like the 250 million range over its lifespan. Not a hit, still categorically a failure.
You're not describing Coco.
No, Coco has the cinema score, the audience reaction score.
A plus.
A plus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
A plus. One of only 2 in recent years that Pixar has had, between that and Toy Story 3, I want to say.
You're kidding me. Toy Story 3 was the last movie that had an A plus.
I gotta do some Google fact checking.
I mean, what? Really? Inside Out, Finding Dory?
I think it did better than Inside Out,
Wow.
for sure. Yeah.
That's interesting because that's the same director. Those are the only 2 movies he's directed at Pixar.
Is
Toy Story 3 and
Leon
and
Critch?
Coco. Yeah. He's been assistant director on other films, but those are the 2 he helmed.
Yeah, here we go. Nope, don't have the info. A plus cinema scores, super rare.
Yeah.
I believe you.
I have to say, I'm really surprised that Justice League got a cinema score that high.
I haven't seen it.
Um,
What would you give it?
it's such a weird thing. I Wonder Woman is the best thing to happen in any of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rate her highly because she's amazing.
Yeah.
And fantastic, and I love her. But the rest of it, it's packaged in a lot of crap.
What would you give it?
I don't know. I mean, it was entertaining, but it has so many problems.
Gotta commit.
I don't know.
Is it gonna be a C or?
Well, if we're qualifying it as a whole,
Yes, Justice League as a whole.
I mean, probably more like a C plus.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, middling, better than the crap they put out before.
What about Coco?
Coco's amazing.
A plus.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I probably maybe more of an A, but I don't like to go to the end of the spectrum.
Right.
I like to leave some room. But
I'm
Coco
gonna
was
start
beautiful.
listing some films that got A plus cinema scores, and you may be surprised by
Okay.
some of these films. So Coco is the most recent one, A plus cinema score. Before that, we had the movie 42, the Jackie Robinson
Oh,
film.
that one was really good.
A plus cinema score, which is well deserved. 1992's Aladdin was A plus.
Okay.
And-
Yep.
Wow.
Argo, the Ben Affleck
No
film.
way.
Argo
No, I don't.
was A plus cinema score.
B plus.
Highly sat. I know you're talking critically. You're talking like a critic.
Yeah.
You're not talking like the mind of the audience.
All right.
Avengers 1, the first Avengers film,
definitely.
2012. Yep, a very big crowd pleaser. Beauty and the Beast,
I don't understand the appeal of that movie. It's
The Blind Side,
It's music. It's music. It's the propaganda of great music.
Yeah,
Can-
Dances with Wolves,
oh no.
Dead Poet Society,
There
well,
you
that
go.
makes sense.
Damn. Yes.
Yeah.
Die Hard,
Okay.
Yeah.
Driving Miss Daisy,
Okay.
E.T.,
Okay.
Forrest Gump.
I've met 2 10-year-olds this holiday that hate ET because it's too sad.
Oh, it
Like
is
they-
sad.
Like they don't hate it, but they won't watch it
I
because
don't
it's
know.
too sad.
I hate Forrest Gump.
The Passion of the Christ. Strong audience following.
Yeah.
Yep. Princess Bride.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
I'm surprised they had
Really?
this back then.
Yeah. They had
Wow.
in the 80s. Yeah. Tangled.
Yes. Tangled.
Okay, you're skipping around, but yeah.
I know. I mean, it's all over the place. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Titanic is the last on this list I looked up.
So Toy Story 3 is not one of them.
I bet it's just not on this.
All right.
In this
This
particular list.
incomprehensible.
So anyway,
Expensive
it's high
list.
praise.
Yeah, very high praise. But let's talk about the controversy, if you want to call it a controversy. We didn't have to endure it. One, we didn't have to see it in theaters again. Jeremy, you didn't see it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. So ahead of Coco, there was a short film.
There's always a short film before Pixar films.
And most of the time, it is a short film produced and in-house. It is
Yeah.
a chance for aspiring directors,
That's
budding
right.
within this Pixar system to flex some of their directing chops in the short film format. Disney's done it. Walt Disney Animation Studios has done it now. Pixar won some of their first Academy Awards were with their short films. Jerry's Game. You know, some of these short films, you buy collections of these. They are just as highly anticipated, I think, as the Pixar films themselves. Some of my favorite ones, Night and Day, was one I loved.
Yep.
The mix of 2D and 3D animation.
That was amazing.
That was one in front of Up, and
Paperman.
Paperman. That was a Walt Disney Animation Studios one. So they've
Yeah.
also used opportunities to bring back some of the characters.
And don't forget Feast.
Feast,
The
yes.
dog one.
The Boston Terrier one, the one that played in front of Big Hero 6. They're intertwined with part of the theatrical experience. Well, the one played in front of Coco was the second Frozen short film,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a holiday special featuring the lovable character Olaf, and it was 21 minutes long.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to guess what
It was a
Norm was
TV
saying
show.
in his brain under the word wonderful.
Wow. Well, I can only tell you
The
that
lovable
that
Olaf.
a quarter of my family would happily pay a full price ticket just to see that.
When we went to a movie theater in Indiana, one of the Midwest cineplexes, and to watch Justice League, and they had posters for Coco. Posters of all the movies coming out.
Yeah.
And outside, like before you decide what movie you're going to pick, you look at all what's available. They had a poster for Coco, and next to the poster for Coco, they had a poster for the short film.
No.
Yeah.
Now showing.
Yeah.
It looked like a full-length film.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Olaf's Frozen Adventure. It's got Sven, the reindeer, and Olaf.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
You understand Frozen is Disney's biggest hit of all time.
Yeah.
why did they have to put this in front of Coco?
Because it got people to go see Coco who wouldn't otherwise have
So
gone see it.
is the thinking that Disney was so worried about the reception to Coco that they had to juice it with the call of Josh Gad and said, "We need you, pal," and juice it with Olaf?
Well, the question is, do you find that to be problematic? Because it makes sense to broaden the appeal of attending a film that has a cultural
It is problematic
perspective.
because by the time you're done watching a 21-minute short film
And the trailers.
for something and the trailers before that, you're exhausted. And how do you have the mental energy if you're there to watch and appreciate Coco?
So
Your
you-
experience is already muted.
So you think it was thunder stealing?
Yes, 100%.
But if you're also getting a larger audience for this beautiful piece of art,
Kids, what I know of kids is have low patience and attention spans, and after 30 minutes of commercials and something like you asking them to sit another 2 hours or something, they're not going to be as enthusiastic.
Usually the shorts are less than 10 minutes.
They're usually
Yeah.
usually 6 minutes. The one with the volcano was like a song. It was 3 minutes long.
It does seem long.
20 minutes
Lava.
extravagant.
yeah.
It's a TV special. They
Yeah.
could have put it on TV.
See, I'm not mad at it. I think that it's okay. I think that if it helps broaden the audience for what a beautiful piece of animation as a Coco, I think it's okay. I think it's a smart pairing. Broaden that audience. Expose people to as much great art as possible. And if that's how it works, that's how it works.
It is 1 minute away from the TV length.
That's right.
Why
with
wouldn't-
commercials?
They did that with Toy Story. They had a Halloween one and a Christmas one.
They've done it. DreamWorks has done it with How to Train Your Dragon and Trolls TV specials.
That's weird.
It could have been a TV special.
Sounds like it was planned to be.
I think it was planned to be.
Now you were in just speculative.
Yes, this
Territory.
is pure speculation.
Have you not
Deep.
listened to the podcast?
We do that. From
I
time
don't
to time.
actually listen to the podcast.
Thank goodness.
No, I like not listening to the podcast because then when you tell me things, I only have to hear them once.
And so it is what it is. If you're gonna go watch Coco, and I highly recommend you do, maybe just be aware so you're not just sitting there. When is this gonna be over? Be aware. Now, I'm not saying don't watch
forget to go to
it.
the bathroom.
I say be aware. There's a 21-minute short film
I
out
mean,
of this.
you could
this
get
film.
reserved seats and go 40 minutes late.
You could totally do that. I'm not saying don't watch it.
My
I'm
God,
saying
it's
just
like you just threw
set
a poison warning sticker on this thing.
set expectations. Know that this is ahead of it, because I think a lot of people were caught off guard, and they were assuming there was gonna be a Pixar short, like thing they were gonna look forward to,
Yeah.
and two,
Oh, don't hate. Come on.
I'm saying I look forward to the standalone original story, the craft of the 5-minute short.
Yeah.
It's not that Pixar doesn't do like the standalone shorts that pull on that are sequels. They've done that with WALL-E, with Bernie,
Right.
and stuff like that. They've done these before. I'm not saying that, but there is an art to that, telling a story in 5 minutes and being experimental somewhat.
You haven't even seen this. Maybe you'd love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I can wait till that collection comes out, and I'll stream it on
Alright.
iTunes.
There you go.
That's what I'll do. Maybe in 4K.
Maybe in 4K.
Yeah. And then last bits of pop culture news. We all here have Amazon Prime, right?
Yep.
Well, the benefits to Amazon Prime keep on coming, and this new one is interesting. Prime subscribers will get access to early screenings of films before they hit theaters.
What
Well,
films?
Jumanji.
There's a lot of films.
Well, I don't know how many.
Wait, Jumanji's not out yet?
Jumanji's not out yet.
Because they've been trailers for a
Yeah.
while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So this newest perk is a whole 2 weeks before the movie comes out, you can book tickets for an advance showing of the film.
Oh, so you still have to go see it. You don't get to stream it at home.
No.
Okay.
You still have to go. This is like for people like if an Amazon perk was to be able to watch Star Wars 12 days before,
Well,
people would pay $100 just for a chance to buy a ticket for early screening.
can you imagine the power that Disney's going to have with their own streaming service?
That's when this
Yeah.
is exactly the kind of thing like that Disney and other companies are looking at, ways to get you to pay more for your earlier access and for other like membership benefits.
Yeah. Andy Serkis did a interview with the Toronto Sun wherein he suggested there should be a Motion Capture Academy Award,
Now,
a performance capture.
performance capture,
Yeah.
yes.
Oscar.
Yeah, they don't call it motion capture. The performers never call it motion capture. It's definitely performance capture. I think this is a step back from his previous arguments. He had been fighting for the longest time to say that performance actors are actors, and I think I think they are,
Absolutely.
and that they should be in contention for acting awards.
That's a hard argument.
He's been making the argument,
That's interesting.
like Gollum.
Yeah.
Should he have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Gollum?
Yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, this is a.
I think yes. Now, completely acknowledging.
What were you going to say?
I say it's a difficult question because yes, there is. It is a legitimate type of performance that deserves to be appreciated,
Yes.
but for the most part, you're talking about almost like he's whining that he and Doug Jones don't already have like 5 each. Like it's also a very small as far as standout performances. There aren't a whole lot of that.
Oh,
to
you're
actually
saying
draw from.
you're saying that he's a small, like he would be nominated every year.
There's a small pool of people
Yes,
in
like
that.
Doug Jones would have a bunch. He would have a ton, and
Well, Doug Jones does both.
right.
I mean, they do all. They're full range. Like Doug Jones does performance capture. He did it for Silver Surfer. He's done it for a bunch of other films. He does creature performance in films like Guillermo films like Pan's Labyrinth, and Hellboy, and he does regular acting. He's as part of Star Trek Discovery cast,
And
right?
he was Mac Tonight on that whole McDonald's commercial campaign.
Maybe the thinking is he and Doug are one of the forefathers of this craft,
Yes.
and if it was taken more legitimately with an award, then there'd be more people who'd follow in his footsteps.
Yeah. And
Now, they fully acknowledge that the performance isn't what you see on screen is still a huge collaboration with the effects artists
Yes,
Mhm.
and animators.
but it's all keyed from his facial expressions.
But
Right.
the directors can say, I didn't like the way Andy was smirking there.
That's right.
I didn't like his brow movement there.
They can do that with humans now.
They can do that with humans now
Yeah.
too. So the lines you can make the argument both ways. I think definitely, and many actors, even with starting with films like Avatar, you had people who were not considered performance actors. They were previously hired to be just themselves on screen, wearing the suits and doing full performance capture. You have in the BFG,
yeah, is that good? I haven't not seen that.
I hear it's
haven't
really
seen it.
good. We haven't seen it yet. And of course, recently with the ending of the Planet of the Apes trilogy,
yeah.
where Caesar was a command performance from Andy Serkis, I'm of two minds about it. I think they should be acknowledged in some way.
Yeah.
I think to create a special category would diminish their contributions as actors, and to take away the opportunity for them to be an actual in contention for acting awards.
Except because of that type of performance, they're less likely to be in contention. So that is the argument for having a category that is more. It's more of a fringe category, but that is the exact argument for why they should.
And I would imagine there are techniques about doing performance capture that regular actors have to learn. So it is a craft in and of
Yeah.
itself in order to perform with that gear
Right.
around you for the computer rather than the camera.
Well, it's going back to Pixar. We didn't have the Academy Award for Best Animated Film
Yeah.
until 2001,
How about that, huh?
until Shrek. And granted, that's with computer animation, but other traditional animated films are in that category. Does that take away like Beauty and the Beast, nominated for Best Film,
Right.
Best Motion Picture, if that came out today, would it just be relegated to Best Animated Feature and not put in contention for Best Picture?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
So wouldn't you say there are animated films that should be in contention for Best Picture?
Well, certainly if they're good enough.
But wouldn't you say there have been
some?
There have been.
Like Toy Story 3, that kind of.
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe, honestly, maybe there hasn't been that film yet.
So Toy Story 3 and Up were nominated for Best Picture.
Mhm.
You can double dip.
Mhm.
And so maybe that's the solution there. You have the category for performance capture, but you also give them opportunity if the performance is worthy enough and holds up against the other acting awards. You also put it in Best Supporting Actor or Best Actor if it meets the requirements of the Academy.
That's
So
interesting.
Is that a main program award or is that one of the technical?
A main program award. I would hope so.
What would be?
The Best Performance Capture.
If it was a.
Oh, I see. I was thinking it was the night before the
Yeah.
technical awards.
Oh.
You know,
That's what I'm-
No.
you read about those on like page 2.
No, I don't like that.
I can't remember what they're called. I know for the Emmys, it's the Shmemmys,
Right.
but I can't remember what it is for the Oscars.
No. You get relegated to a
So
montage.
Is that
A
not
montage on Oscar night.
if they did expand it with that category? You're saying then it would not be good enough if it was in the night before awards?
I don't know. You don't want to insult those guys because they get their awards that night before. They're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Alrighty. We don't have time for a transition, but
What?
we may be ready to swap to pass the baton.
Ah, very good.
To the other special guest?
Yes.
The other one?
Yes.
Not to the special guest?
We're gonna pass the baton to the special guest. We have transition music we can play.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's play some transition music. So we're going to thank Danica for joining us for the first half of the podcast.
My pleasure.
And we'll hopefully see you sooner rather than later, and have her take off the headphones and swap out.
Slowly.
Yep.
I'm going to look into the camera awkwardly as I do this.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you on the show, Danica.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Good to be here. We haven't talked about how this transition happens.
Oh, it just happens. Jeremy and I are going to talk for a little bit.
No,
All
like, am I crawling under the
No,
table?
can you fit
to-
behind? You can fit behind. There you go.
Okay.
So, are we
grab
about to
that.
discuss
We are about to discuss
the biggest pop culture news of the week in the
would
tech
you
section?
call this the biggest pop culture news of the week?
Yes. Yes, I would. According to Reddit and my Twitter feed, it is the biggest.
All right, let's talk about it. And what we're talking about, of course, is the release of the first teaser trailer and poster.
Is it a teaser? Because they released a teaser for the trailer, and then they
This
released
is-
the full trailer.
This is the first teaser trailer.
I don't know.
I would not call this a full trailer.
really.
First trailer, I would assume have like actual plot elements,
Oh, okay. So
right? More
nothing
dialogue.
divulged.
This is way more montage.
But there's a lot of footage and
There's a lot of footage.
This is not a short trailer.
No. This is, of course, Marvel's Infinity War. And to talk about Marvel's Infinity War, we have Kishore.
We're talking about what now? Infinity War? We're not talking about The Punisher, which I finished?
Oh, you finished The Punisher?
Yeah, it was a slog.
Oh, Kishore's back. You know, Kishore couldn't join us for the first half of the podcast because he was shooting Science in Progress, his show here. We were booked for that. So we had to bring you in to talk about Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
This is you are our resident Thanos expert.
Who?
Oh, my God. All right. So first thing is I had a crisis because I didn't know if I should watch it or not based off of Norm's renewed commitment to never watching trailers. And there was footage that premiered at D23 last year,
Wait a
like
minute.
extended footage.
Have you seen it?
I've watched it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
My commitment to not spoiling myself with trailers only was a test basis for The Last Jedi, in which I'm still holding strong.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I've been waiting for this trailer since D23, which is what, like June? When was that? May. So because they premiered some footage there, but I've read accounts of the footage. I never actually watched it, but watching Thor and we know some of the footage that was shown there was not going to be accurate to what is going to be in the final product.
Right. And they had revealed some things at D23/Comic-Con about the cast of characters, about the villains, and that was enough. You were sold. Your ticket's already. If you could buy the ticket today, you bought it already.
I think I'm camped out in line right now.
Yeah,
probably for this movie because
somebody in my Twitter feed said, "Marvel, you have my permission to make this a 9-hour movie."
That was my friend, my hockey friend, and I retweeted that. I love the source material for this, which is the Infinity Gauntlet series that was written by Jim Starlin, he also did a lot of the pencils, and Ron Lim came in and did a lot of the drawings.
You can only be disappointed.
I'm setting myself up for failure, but this is the culmination of how many films?
21 films.
21 films back to 2008. Is that right?
Iron Man?
Yep, Iron Man. And I was pretty happy with what I saw in the trailer. I was really thrilled. It set up enough stuff for me. It showed me a couple things I wanted to see. It showed me Thanos is just a badass. And there's...
Without a helmet.
Am I allowed to talk about this?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Him punching Iron Man in the face was pretty satisfying.
Okay.
And him choking Spider-Man in a spider iron suit was pretty satisfying.
What do you think?
It showed how powerful it was, and I love there's one Josh Brolin line that is very Thanos-like. It's very nihilistic. It's very like doom is coming no matter what you say. You can't avoid it. And it's very menacing, and I hope that's what his character is. That being said, the costume design, disappointed. I knew this was coming. We knew it from D23. He should be in full garb.
I mean, he will get there.
He's in casual wear.
I actually like the Mad Titan in casual wear. When he was banished and he's on Titan as a farmer.
No doubt, but that was like conversation time. That wasn't fighting time. He came fighting time. Maybe that's how little little regard he had for the Marvel characters. He was going to come in casual wear and beat the crap out of them.
He doesn't have his helmet.
Doesn't have his helmet, doesn't have his armor.
The full gilded armor. Yes. Except for the gauntlet.
I felt like and I was happy with the trailer from my little perspective too, but when you first see him and he doesn't have a helmet on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he's always had a helmet in the little snippets.
Yes.
I was like almost like a Tarkin level CG, and I didn't care for it.
Oh, I think that's fair. I think it'll look fine in the final product because we got this weird glimpse of him coming out of a portal of some kind. I like how all the heroes aren't together either. It kind of started to make sense to me as a storyline of how they're going to tell this tale.
So my fear for this film is that it's going to have too much of a look how fun it is to see the hero from this character have banter from the hero from this other character from this movie have banter from the character from another movie that you love.
That's what Thor was.
Because
that's exactly what that movie was.
And it seems like they're setting that up with Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Hulk. Like, look at this awkward first encounter and this awkward and I know that's very
it's very close to the source material too. The opening scene of the comic book is literally a character falling through Doctor Strange's roof. So I actually took it as a nod to the original. Do
you think it'll be a cold open movie? Like, just get right into it?
Oh, I think I suspect the Hulk is going to fall through Doctor Strange's roof to open this film.
Wow. I like it. I like that. I don't need build up. We've had 20 movies of build up. Let's
Do you want to hear my theory of what this movie is about?
Yes.
It's a little spoilery.
I think we all do, sure.
The people must know.
It's good to be back. I think it's going to open with Hulk falling through and Thanos warping to the planet. He'll have beaten the crap out of Thor. And I think he's going to show up on Earth with 2 gems on his gauntlet. Like, somehow he will have gone to Xandar to get the power gem, and somehow he will, like, Loki will have handed over the Tesseract, the space gem.
Loki's good now, though, right?
No, he's not.
I'm so confused. All right.
Yeah, that's Loki's whole thing. And he's going to come on Earth looking for the third one, which I believe is in Wakanda. And so we go from...
Well, he steals one. You see him take one from Vision.
Oh, yeah. He's coming for Visions, too. Sorry.
And Vision also in the Paul Bettany form, human form.
I didn't like that. A
Yeah.
little too like playing up the romance with Scarlet Witch.
Which what happens in the comics.
It is what happens in the comics, but that's like it's a little bit too much story for what this movie is about. So I assume he comes to New York to get the gem from Vision, and he's going to beat the crap out of all the heroes there, and then move over to Wakanda, and that's why all the rest of the heroes are gathered there to meet his forces. So this is actually setting up. I know this is strange to say, but the way that architecture goes is that he's going to win in this movie. Thanos is going to win.
He's going to get all the gems by the end.
And I hope we just follow him. We don't follow the heroes. That I think it starts
in the
with-
movie.
In
You
the
think
movie.
Thanos is the star.
I hope so.
That's
I think that
interesting.
would be a really interesting take. It'd be a very different kind of film. And if we follow him collecting a couple of the gems, and at the end of the movie, he has somehow collected the entire Infinity Gauntlet together. I know they said it's not a part 1, part 2 movie, but I think that trailer feels like it's a part 1, part 2 movie. Like they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger of him having this together. And that's enough for this film to do. If it tries to do much more than that, it tries to resolve all of this. I think he has a showdown with Captain America to end this film.
oh, yeah.
The new dark,
Oh, he looked great.
So I love
Yeah.
that he's wearing his Winter Soldier costume because he's no longer Captain America at the end of Civil War. He gives up the shield. He returns the shield back to Tony. He's a fugitive hiding out in Wakanda.
but he gets it back.
He
Right?
gets it back. Well, you actually don't. Do you see
We
him
don't
with
know.
the shield? We
No.
actually don't
and
see
get
him
this
with the
man,
shield.
get this man a shield.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what Black Panther says.
Yeah.
And Bucky's back. That was great. So you have all the greatest hits. The stinger at the end of the trailer was a huge crowd pleaser. Like this is one of those trailers that I wish the first time I saw it was in the theaters.
It's true.
'Cause
I
you
wanted
wanna
to see it on big screen.
You want to see it with a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
there's a crowd pleasing
Now-
moment after crowd pleasing moment.
This is probably the kind of trailer that would have sold tickets to some movie, any movie they wanted to put it
What
in
was the
front
last
of.
trailer that sold tickets?
I'm thinking of like episode 1.
Episode 1. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that sold tickets to whatever I saw.
Superman Returns sold tickets for me.
Why didn't they do that?
Oh.
I wonder.
I don't. They just don't need to at this point.
They don't need to.
Like, is this film gonna do any better with that?
I'm saying another film would have done better because of the trailer.
No, they
But
had,
what
they
is-
had Olaf in the wings.
Oh my god! Did you guys talk
We
about
talked
that?
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Olaf, you're on my list, Olaf.
What did you think of the Spider-Man armor? Him just
I
jumping
love-
in right in, and the Peter Parker scene with the hair raising, that was great.
Yeah, because we didn't get much spider sense in Homecoming, right?
The visual the way you show spider sense, representation of spider sense on film has changed over
Mm-hmm.
the years, and the hair raising is a little on the nose, but
I loved it.
it's a hair raising moment.
It works in the trailer.
I didn't like that he looked at it. Like he would have just felt it. He wouldn't have looked at his hair.
Well,
Like,
normally
that
you
was
felt
weird.
it if it's a normal spider sense. This is
Oh.
this is the big, in the comics, it's the big lightning bolts coming out of his eyes.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, it's the huge spider sense.
I like the spider armor. It shows that it's so serious that Iron Man goes back on his
Hulkbuster
pledge.
armor.
Hulkbuster armor comes out
You
because
think Hulkbuster is for Hulk coming back to Earth, or you think it's for Thanos?
No, it's for Thanos.
Is it enough to beat Thanos?
No.
No.
No, my wonder is, are they going to kill off characters in this movie, or are they waiting for the next one? I think people are going to die.
I
in
think
this
killing
movie.
off characters shows the gravity of the end of part one, and I think, yeah.
I mean,
I think-
this isn't really like a bet from the source material. The source material has a bunch of people that die and whatever.
Half the universe dies.
I think Captain America has to die.
I think Loki dies.
Oh, I think Loki definitely dies. I
think-
think he hands over the gem and Thanos just kills him.
No,
right
I think moment of redemption as a way to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe Thor dies and Loki tries to save
I
him.
think it's it's in the early scenes and it sets up how serious this is.
The biggest surprise Loki would do is become a good guy.
I don't,
I
be
feel
unexpected.
So rote.
I don't understand how you guys.
Guess what? It's a Disney film.
All right, fine.
You guys seem to know everything about the background of these movies and what they're referencing from the comics, but you don't know anything about how they're going to turn out.
Well, because they haven't followed the comic scripts exclusively because there's so many characters in the source material that because of how Fox owns certain characters, they're not in these movies. So like the Infinity Gauntlet is really a story about Thanos and Adam Warlock. And Adam Warlock was only hinted at the end of the last Guardians movie. He's not going to be a character in this movie. I don't believe.
In the comics, Thanos assembles all of the gems?
He assembles all of the gems. He has a 2-part series called Thanos Quest, which is actually my favorite source material. He meets some of the elders of the universe. So the Grandmaster is in that. The Collector, who you've met, are in that. And he starts to assemble all of the gems together. And he has a really particular mission where he's going to kill half the universe.
And who stops him?
So he assembles the gauntlet at the end of those miniseries, and then there's a series called Infinity Gauntlet where he starts to use the power of the gauntlet, and everyone assembles to stop him.
All these people
Like-
we see from the trailer.
Yeah, but more.
Okay.
So like
here's
the
the
X-Men
big
are
question.
there.
Big question is where are the places this movie takes place? Because you see Wakanda being evacuated. You see
What's that?
The Black Panther is his
His
home-
lair?
his city,
A city. Okay.
the hidden country.
Oh, right.
You see New York. You see a field where punching happens. So
That's
armies
Wakanda.
are crashing with armies. Now this is the problem. Like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Two massive armies running toward each other. When
think
you're talking about a universal scale threat.
I think it's Well, I think he's coming to Earth with a specific mission, not to conquer it. He's coming to get the 2 gems that he needs.
And he's sending
So he's
minions.
going to New York himself to get the visions, and he's sending his little gang to Wakanda. And that's why there's an army there. It's his Black Order that's there.
Okay, so there's
Because
a lot
you
of
remember-
punching with the army.
You remember somebody catching like a lance weapon
Yep,
that was
yep.
thrown that looked like Captain America catching that in
Yeah.
the darkness, and I believe that lance came from one of Thanos' lieutenants.
And then the other question is, does this movie go to space?
Yeah, I think there has got to be a scene with Thor on that ship.
I mean, do the Earth heroes go to space? Is this like, because one of the big set pieces on an asteroid, in some type of non-Earth environment where you have the Avengers out there, does that happen in this film?
Well, there's the scene where Thor has an encounter with Thanos, which has to be part of the opening, I would think, because that's where we left off at the end of Thor.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine the Guardians of the Galaxy rescue Thor, and then that's how they learn how to get to Earth. Well, I guess they already know because he's from Earth.
Yeah, I suspect it ends in space, but I don't think it's a huge central piece of. I think most of this film takes place on Earth, is my guess.
It's a lot.
It's a
lot of ground to cover.
Well-
I think if they leave it at a cliffhanger or something close to a cliffhanger, they can get away with that much coverage.
Is it going to be 2.5 hours long?
I hope it's 9 hours long. I think it'll be 2.5 seems about right, because I think doing much more than that, they'll start to do stupid stuff like bringing in too many characters, trying to develop plot lines where they don't exist. I think they leave it with Thanos winning. I think that's where, and like you're right. I think somebody has to die at the end of this movie.
maybe more than one. Whose contract is up?
Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, I believe. They can't kill. Are they going to kill Iron Man? Feels really. Wow, Norm's confident. A lot of death. I don't know. I don't know about that. I definitely think Chris Evans is going to die.
Alrighty, let's get some tech news.
We don't have anything to say? Wait, we're not in tech news yet?
Wait,
No.
you guys have been talking for like 2 hours about.
Biggest news is in tech this week. Bitcoin hits $10,000.
Norm's Bitcoin.
I don't-
Norm's Bitcoin.
This is crazy.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's it. Let's move on.
No, I did see something that said like time from 10,000 to 11,000 in Bitcoin 6 days. Time for 11,000 back down to 10,000 6 minutes.
True. 100%. It went It went to 9,000 something earlier today.
Volatility.
Yeah. Nasdaq will start selling futures for Bitcoin futures next year. Yeah. we have Bitcoin experts in the office, which we'll do some talking about later before the end of the year about the state of cryptocurrency. But good for everyone who kept their Bitcoin. You guys are strong. I admire you. I'm very jealous.
All right.
Envious.
Sorry for the bad advice, Norm.
Yeah. The other big piece of this is something that's going to affect everyone in the room. In 2 weeks, on December 14th, the FCC will vote to overturn net neutrality. Now, this is big. Let's talk about in terms of what actually happens if net neutrality gets overturned.
Well, I think there's the practicality of it is even when they overturn this, it'll probably get it'll be challenged.
Yeah.
In court. So let us dispel the notion that anything is going to happen like January 1 in terms of a change. We are pretty sure that there's a number of groups lined up to sue right after any ruling is made.
That doesn't mean the rulings will be stopped.
No, but it'll slow it down. It's not going to implement within a month. I think this is going to be tied up for a year or 18 months, I heard from legal experts.
But what would potentially happen, assuming it does get overturned, is that networks and ISPs will have permission, even though they have previously vowed not to, and then also deleted those vows, but also we're doing it at the same time, they can implement pricing schemes and policies to affect how we use and pay for internet negatively. Every time I hear an interview from the FCC chair about why they're doing this, it just doesn't ring true.
Oh, there's absolutely 0% of consumers that this benefits, on no matter your politics, right?
Can I try to sell you on it? I'll try to be devil's advocate for a second.
Sell
Be
who?
the devil's advocate.
Sell who?
you.
The consumer?
Yeah.
You can't. There is no
What
argument.
is their argument?
So I think the argument is if all consumers aren't equal, we'll talk about this just in terms of home internet because it's just easier to talk about. So
Elevator pitch. I'm getting off at floor 10.
Oh, I know you are.
What do you got?
I don't believe a word of what I'm about to say, by the way. And so I think all consumers aren't related equal. So let's say you're Jeremy, heavy user of the internet. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. Norm is light user of the internet. I know you're going to have to pretend here.
Oh,
let's
no.
say you only basically do email and web surf. So why is Norm paying the same cost as you for services he doesn't use? He doesn't use as much bandwidth as you. Why is he paying $50 a month when, Jeremy, you're the one that's actually clogging up the pipes? Shouldn't he pay a lower price, $25, and shouldn't you pay more, $75, because you're using the internet in different ways? God, I feel dirty just saying that.
I don't understand. You're talking about caps as opposed to throughput. I mean, aren't you? It sounds
Yeah,
to
but
me.
I mean, this is part of what it's going to look like on the other side is ISPs will differentiate service types. Like you can have the internet, but the internet's only going to allow you to do X, Y, and Z. Like email, you're not going to be able to stream video. If you want to stream video, it's going to cost you more. I think it's less of that boogeyman of we're not going to let you watch Netflix. We're going to just charge you. You're going to have to pay an upcharge to do it.
Look, for me, what this is about it's businesses and charging businesses. I don't think the consumers are going to see necessarily. They certainly could. But it seems like all the money is really in the business to business. So
It's a charging of Netflix, because from the ISP's perspective, why does Netflix get to double their offering and encourage consumers and make so much money off of consumers streaming from them without having to pay ISPs because consumers using more?
Mm-hmm.
They just want in on that success and not have to pay for the infrastructures and the money that they would charge Netflix. Then you would assume gets passed down to you and me.
I mean, we can talk about it as net neutrality, but fundamentally, I believe that given how the internet has evolved as a primary source of information, I think it's a commodity now.
It's the U word.
Yeah,
The utility.
Yeah, I think it's utility. It's a public utility at this point because I don't see, energy companies talking about increased energy usage among us in the same way that we're hearing it talked about with increased data usage. And I think that's where it gets wonky.
I mean, I do pay, like on our cell phones. Like I have a cap, I have a limit. My whole family does, and if we go over that, we pay more. And that's not net neutrality.
No.
Net neutrality is about I can't even access a site unless they have paid the toll for the whatever the fee is in order to make that fast access.
Well, that's one aspect of it. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's an uneven playing field, so that smaller businesses who maybe they don't have a whole lot of money and they have started some video streaming service or even just a simple web store, in WordPress on their little ISP, they maybe don't have as fast access to people, so people can't access their store or whatever it is that they have, than the big companies do who have paid the toll.
What is surprising to me about this entire endeavor is I have never seen an issue that is so roundly opposed by the business community,
Well, that's
with
what
the
I'm
exception of the ISPs. All the consumers hate this.
Yeah.
Like legal experts think this is a terrible idea. Countries that have an unregulated market for this show signs, like Portugal, of increased consumer frustration and lack of access. India went the other way and passed stringent net neutrality rules. It just seems very off topic for a very small set of companies would benefit from this.
Yeah, it seems like everyone who knows what this is understands it's bad for the consumers. Yet there are still people who don't understand it.
Oh, because it is hard to understand.
I don't think so. I for whatever reason, I just don't think it's a sexy topic. And people just haven't bothered to do the research.
I really hate the idea that a lot of people have that their ISPs are looking out for them. Like they're not going to do anything not in your interest. The capitalism will figure it out.
We are privileged to have an internet provider that is is for net neutrality, which is Sonic.
Oh yes, 100%.
Which I'm happy to move to in January as soon as I can.
I'm surprised. Like we associate Comcast as being in favor of this rules being overturned, but even they're taking out ads saying they're not going to change anything for consumers. Now that's very slippery. Like their language is very precise about it, but it's still, even the ISPs know that this is not a winner in terms of public perception right now.
Yeah, well, public perception and public action are two different things, and so if you wanted to help preserve net neutrality, a couple ways you can do that. There's a website, battleforthenet.com, which you can it'll give you scripts and give you actionable phone numbers that you can call to your local congressperson. And also on the EFF's website, act.eff.org, there's also plenty of information there. Because this vote does happen on December 14th, and now is the time.
I just want to say, as somebody that's made a bunch of phone calls, I have bits of advice if anyone is going to make a phone call. Be super polite. The people on the other side are not the ones that you're trying to influence. The people that are answering that question, the people that are listening to those messages. So be polite, be clear, be concise. But when you spread a message of anger, I think there's a lot of reason that'll rebound and not work.
Good advice.
There are also rallies happening on December 7th around the country, so keep an eye out for that. All right, what's next? Apple users in the house. Jeremy Williams. Hey, have you updated your Apple High Sierra?
Have they fixed this yet?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
So I understand that there was a small bug where anybody could get root on my system.
No big deal.
Pretty big small bug.
And it was a matter of typing in root as the username and leaving no password.
No password.
And hitting OK.
The classic no password.
It might have taken a couple tries. Is that right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
What? The couple tries part?
I didn't know about the couple tries
Some people
part.
first try, but some people took a couple tries.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
That's really
And I
bad.
loved it. Like whoever broke this put it up on Twitter. And then Apple support wrote back saying, send us a DM and we'll figure out what's going on here. And clearly, like, no one had been notified that this is an real problem. They just took their stance of, let's help the user figure out what they're doing wrong.
I know a lot of users went in and just changed their root password as a way of getting around this, but
That's someone up.
That's not something that the average Apple user is going to do.
Yeah. So, but a fix has been issued already. So if you have the latest version of High Sierra as of last week, you should check again and get that updated today. Apple also, looking for a little more forward-looking. We think they're definitely interested in augmented reality. through the phone or some other maybe wearable device. They acquired a company that was working on a mixed reality headset.
Yeah, I don't know if you've read this, but it's an interesting mixed reality solution. It's a video-based mixed reality. It's what we talk about how virtual reality could be mixed, and that's what they do. So you actually are wearing a VR headset. There is pass-through, but it's one-to-one pass-through. So like all you're seeing is screen. Usually with augmented reality headsets, it's like a translucent screen that you see through into the real world. But they're just passing cameras through onto an LCD panel. And that's the company that Apple bought, it's just interesting to see them. They clearly are diving into this space. Tim Cook has said multiple times that he's a big believer in AR. And I'd be very interested to see this. Like the best we've seen, I guess on the consumer side, is probably Vive with its pass-through camera, but that's not even
that great
stereo.
of a camera.
It's not, right?
No, it's one camera in the middle. It doesn't fill the whole field of view.
And it's not a natural field of view.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's offset a little bit.
Yeah. And so I would love to see this, especially with this. Like they're talking about the latency right now is around 15 milliseconds, but they can get it down to 2. And I would love to see that. That's
2 milliseconds. That's impressive.
Yeah. So I'd be very curious to see this, and I guess we won't until Apple releases whatever they're working on.
Speaking of Apple and modern technologies looking forward, Face ID we talked about 2 weeks ago. There was a firm that had cracked Face ID with the attention requirement off, and now they have an updated mask that breaks Face ID. This one, I believe, is a 3D printed mask. The interesting thing about these masks is the important part seems to be right around the eyes. That's where they want the highest detail.
Yeah.
And they did manage to get around the attention using something that we talked about 2 weeks ago.
The infrared thing?
Infrared lights in the eyes. And the attention setting, the magic that makes the attention requirement work is bouncing infrared light right into your eyeballs, which bounces right back out. And when the camera sees 2 infrared dots where eyes should be, that's the attention.
It thinks that the pupils are facing the camera.
Yeah.
And they did a 3D scan and print of the guy's face.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not an easy task to hack, but they said they cost them maybe $200 to do it.
Right.
It's not a cost problem. It's
no. But the trick for any hacker is to not register too many fails.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the security benefits of Face ID is that, and also Touch ID, any failures accumulate, and then once it fails 5 times, your phone is locked and password required.
And you have to do it within 24 hours before your phone locks.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
This seems pretty extreme. Like that is not like, oh, they just printed a mask and put it on. It's like very detailed and like clearly had some finishing on it.
This is the borderline. We are getting to borderline Mission Impossible stuff.
The thing is, this is a lot more feasible to me than making a thumbprint. Like, this seems more possible. If I had to get into a phone in 24 hours, this seems more likely that I could do this.
How would you get the face scan?
Yeah, I don't know. Like that, but that's doable. I don't know how.
How do you get a thumbprint? You get someone to press their hand, put a palm on a piece of clay.
And do people do that? Do people crack Touch ID by
people have cracked ID with fingerprints,
molded fingerprints?
Yeah, cast of a fingerprint.
Huh.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's way easier just to put the blank password in root and get in that way.
But you got to try maybe a couple times. Yeah. Kishore, you didn't hear this. I got a TV.
Oh, what? The TV hunt of 2017 is over before it started?
Began and finished in the span of a week. Yeah.
All right, hit me.
Thank you, Gary. Well, I'm not going to talk about it too much again because
no, just give me some.
We spent half an hour talking about this. I got 65-inch LG OLED.
Nice.
Got the LG OLED.
4K HDR, obviously.
4K HDR, and HDMI ports. But even more forward-looking, the HDMI Forum, which is the consortium that creates the standards for HDMI, they have locked in HDMI 2.1 as a standard. And HDMI 2.1 will have the potential bandwidth of, what is this? I gotta get this right. 10K resolution.
What?
Yeah. 4K at 120 hertz, 8K at 60 hertz, and up to 10K resolution.
At what hertz, though?
I don't know, probably
Like
30.
30 hertz, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that going to look terrible? It's going to be like very precise, but then never update.
What makes me excited is the 4K 120 and the
Yeah.
6K, 8K 60. 8K 60 is going to look amazing. I've seen 8K 30, but that's not one cable. 8K 60 hertz with one cable.
Is it the same cable? I mean, it'll have to be. Is it the same?
Oh, same. Yes, it's the same connector.
Connector size.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. But it'll be 2.1, and that's what we're going to look forward to in our VR headsets.
How can they do that? How can they fit so much more data into the same cable, the same number of pins?
I think it's more about, it's not about the pins, it's more about how fast they can decode and encode in the standard.
Oh, so they're applying compression on it somehow.
It's about, like, the standard was not about maxing out the physical capabilities of those pins. It's about the standard across the board for things that you plug into the cable and things that generate the signals.
But it's not about compression and decompression. HDMI isn't. It's just about throughput of data, right?
I'm not sure.
You know, that's amazing. I want to know.
I wonder
how
if they're
they do
using
that.
different materials in the actual cable.
Gold plated. Get those monster cables. And then finally, have any of you played the new Battlefront game?
No, I still haven't.
Yeah, we talked a little about the loot crate controversy last week, but now there are calls to regulate loot boxes because of gambling concerns.
Yeah, in the UK, which makes perfect sense. It should be. It is gambling. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, they used to call pinball gambling, you know, and that was illegal for a long time.
I mean, they legitimately had gambling in, like, with CS:GO. That was straight up gambling.
In what way?
Like, where you would just bid on items in there, and like you would bet each other, like you'd put in your higher level item that had a value, and other person would put it in. That's just gambling.
But then how was it gambling?
Oh, because there was manipulation. Because people would, like famous streamers would indicate that they were having so much success with this to inflate the idea of how often you would win. So, do you know about this at
I mean,
all?
is there like a dice roll? And
So,
you're like,
yeah, it's a dice roll.
I got snake eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
It was like you literally flip a coin inside the game, and people
To
would
get
be
those
putting,
rare skins,
Yeah,
Wow. No, I didn't know.
rare weapon skins.
that's like straight up gambling. So
The thing is, like, the kids love gambling. The kids love gambling. The claw machine,
The
man.
kids love gambling.
They love gambling.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow,
honestly,
you spoken like a gambling exec at the annual board meeting.
they love gambling. They love the claw machine. They love, like, the toys where they don't know what's inside, or the chocolate where they don't know what's inside. They would prefer that over knowing what they're buying.
J.J. Abrams had something with that mystery box cover of Wired magazine.
Yeah.
the mystery boxes that you buy at Comic-Cons, is that gambling?
So they love
The blind
they
boxes?
love loot boxes. The mystery stuff at the Comic Cons.
Yeah.
All this stuff is phenomenal. They just taps right into something about the kid.
How is that different
mentality?
than like going to a roulette table
it's not.
or blackjack?
No, it's not.
It's not.
But so the question is, should we regulate it? Should we protect the kids from their own devices? And I say yes.
I don't know, because it's not gambling in the strictest sense of the word, because you're putting, it's almost like bartering with gambling in it, because they're not real money. It's not real currency. It's stuff that has value.
I don't understand. You can buy loot boxes
Oh, are we talking about the physical loot boxes or inside the game?
inside the game.
But you have to buy them with real currency.
You have to
eventually.
buy them with real currency, but I'm saying, like, you don't just trade currency for currency. You're trading this thing that has supposed value.
But you don't know what's in the loot box, you see.
I know.
Also,
that.
claw machines is a skill. Claw machines are skill based.
Whoa. Hand over your nerd card, my friend. There is no skill in it. Well, there, fine. If it hits the threshold after which it lets you win,
Oh, so you're saying
then there's some skill.
behind transparency. There is a counter that says,
Yes.
like, let's do a dice roll, and for this time the claw will not be strong enough to grab anything.
Once it grabs something, it then has to pass a threshold before it even allows the machine to grab a toy.
A dice roll.
A threshold of a number of revenue. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, just like slot machines.
Then that's 100% gambling.
You know, slot machines are that way too, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Yeah, no, it's all rigged.
Wow.
And these,
Blowing kids' minds right now, Jeremy.
Okay, so the loot boxes, the physical boxes, let's call them mystery boxes to differentiate from the loot boxes you have in video games. The mystery boxes you buy at Comic-Con, for, let's say, your $10 or $20, you're supposed to get, like, at least the $20 in MSRP value, though. There's no chance you're not getting something. You're going to, like, it's not, the money isn't going away. You're getting
a return on
you're getting
that
a
currency.
return, which is theoretically the MSRP of the items in that box. The gambling aspect is that it may sometimes be the extra cool thing that's worth a lot more. That's a chance you're willing, that's the gamble.
Yeah.
So is that the equivalent to a slot machine, though?
Because you're saying with a slot machine you might get nothing.
You get nothing.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the case with a bunch of games in the arcade, like the claw game, like where you get nothing or something. So I don't think the physical loot boxes need to be regulated. You're paying for a thing. The loot boxes inside of games, it gets dicey.
So is it more about paying for the thrill or paying for the item?
When my son got his mystery box from San Francisco Comic-Con, San Diego, what is it? No,
Silicon Valley.
I said, don't open it because this is as good as it gets, not knowing what's in there.
He didn't listen.
He didn't know, and he regrets it. Like, thankfully, he learned something. But he hasn't been tempted again. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I think that these kids, I can just tell you, they love gambling. They love loot boxes. And it's a human psyche thing. Like there's definitely some interesting psychology going on, but we shouldn't allow them to spend their money. They should be considered gambling, and whatever regulation there is surrounding that should apply to kids. Once they're old enough to make use their money however they want, then they're old enough to make their own mistakes.
Spoken like a gambler.
And a parent.
And a parent. All right, before we move on to our next segment, I also want to thank the other sponsor of this week's podcast, and that's Chef Steps. Jewel, the sous vide by Chef Steps. If you are a dinner party host looking for a foolproof way to make your perfect meats, poultry, and fish, you should check out the Jewel. The Jewel sous vide. With your Jewel sous vide, every home cook can create chef-level dishes thanks to precise temperature control. Hopefully, you got to use it in time for your holidays, and there are plenty of holidays coming up, too. The Jewel makes sure your food will never over-undercook, so you're free to focus on your guests or whip up some amazing sides. And there are more than 100 recipes in the video-rich Jewel app to help you cook almost every protein, from meat to poultry to fish to eggs, plus desserts, veggies, and more. And if your guests are running late or you're doing something else, the Jewel can hold your food to any temperature so it won't overcook. It'll help you make perfect food every time. Now, you can get your Jewel today by going to chefsteps.com/Joule, that's Joule, like the energy unit, and use the offer code TEST, T-E-S-T, to get $15 off for a limited time. That's chefsteps.com/Joule with the code TEST.
Now it's time for a moment of science. So 3 quick stories this week. One is currently, while we're recording this on Wednesday, there is a massive walkout of grad students across the country to protest the tax reform bill that's in front of Congress that would potentially tax their tuition waiver, increasing the tax load on a graduate student, upwards of 400%. And so I think last I saw there was 100 to 150 universities that have had walkouts happening where they're calling Congress people. It'll be interesting to stay tuned to that because there's a lot of indication that if that proceeds, that a number of scientists in training in STEM fields will drop out of school because they just literally won't be able to afford it.
Can I ask you a question about that? And I've seen there's similar things around with high school students doing walkouts. Mm-hmm. What is the statement there? What is the statement of walking out on class? What is the threat? I understand that it gets media attention, and that's good because it's a good cause. But it's not like when Latin Americans don't show up to work one day and they're making a statement.
Yeah, it's not that kind of statement. And functionally, there's actually a really interesting thread by a former education lobbyist who said, like, you shouldn't do this. You should actually just call your Congress people and put pressure on them that way around this. But the walkout is really about solidarity and media attention because it's not doing damage to the enterprise of science. I don't think they want to do that. They're not trying to make that statement. They're just trying to make a solidarity statement.
Okay.
One other quick story. We know here in California that microplastics are banned inside of soaps. These are like those little beads that exfoliate your skin. It's why I look so good on this podcast all the time.
They're banned in California.
They're banned in California because those microplastics have been shown to get out into the ocean and show up in the food chain. Well, we have a story about that banning, which is kind of funny. It was sort of misinterpreted, but a scientist in New Zealand said, yeah, we should continue to ban all microplastics, including glitter. Glitter as a microplastic. And I want to bring up right now, one scientist said this. No other scientist that I know of has indicated that we should ban glitter, but I want to get on the ban glitter train. No one needs glitter. No one really needs glitter.
The herpes of crafting.
Yeah. And glitter persists in the environment.
Really?
No matter what you do.
How about that?
Best vacuum cleaner in the world can't get rid of glitter.
What's your glitter alternative for decor?
How about no glitter?
Why don't they make
sprinkles?
Glitter that just disintegrates?
Like sprinkles.
There we go. $1 million business idea right here.
There's a
biodegradable glitter.
Interesting how it's made on glitter. Yeah.
Really?
I'm sure
how
it's
do they
on
make
YouTube.
it?
I don't remember.
But it was interesting. And the last story is about origami again. So soft robotics has been an area of real burgeoning development for a long time. We've covered it on Moment of Science a number of times, and we've covered how scientists have used origami to actually create structures that have a dynamic kinetic behavior, because they can use the fold lines essentially to create pressure on one for an object to sort of fold itself across that line. Well, now combine those two things together, soft robotics and this idea of of using origami to enforce shape. So a number of groups have created an origami structure that has these like kind of cuts and bends in it, and then they fill it with air and shroud it in this sort of polymer material so it all acts as like one sort of unified device. And then when they pull a vacuum on it and evacuate the air, all of that air rushing out creates a sort of a pressure on those fold lines, and it enforces a new shape. So they were able, with this technology, to have an origami robot lift 1,000 times its own weight, just using that kind of design structure. It's pretty amazing. Like, they're able to make a claw that could lift a tire. Callback.
Nice work.
The VR Minute. Virtual reality this week.
Rift Core is almost upon us, Norman.
Oh my goodness, this is a
Core.
big update. 2.0.
2.0.
Yes, beta's coming soon. So
December, they say.
We're approaching December.
There was actually an update, a blog post, I think it was, yesterday, informing everyone that it was on the horizon. And how you get it is to go into your Windows app and you turn on beta
releases.
Yes. Yeah. And
yeah,
it's great.
Kind of like Steam,
Exactly.
Turn on beta releases.
Exactly.
They have some images of the environments. We saw a glimpse of these in the Rift Core 2.0 trailer. This is, of course, the new interface. This isn't Dash. This isn't the virtual desktop replacement that lets you have all your apps and your shortcuts at the hub in front of you. This is the actual the house, that mansion that you are in the Cliff House equivalent that you are, that you can't really fly around in. The skin of the UI will get changed, and so there'll be different types of mansion environments, including one that overlooks the ocean with a pirate ship. But it doesn't, and you can teleport around these.
Cool.
But we don't know exactly when that's going to come out, and how it's going to change your access to your Friends app and stuff like that.
One small reveal is that they've added wish lists to
You think that's a big deal?
To the Oculus Store. I do. I think people use them on other platforms, and they might as well have them here too. Just so that they can maybe be notified if things go on sale, or if you can get access to your friends' wish list and you got a holiday coming up. I think it's positive.
Oh, so Dash is a part of this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dash is.
Well, it's
Home and Dash.
different.
Yes,
You were right. They're different.
Yeah.
But they're being launched in beta together.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the Dash part of it. And more people will have Rifts hopefully this holiday because they had a massive sale over Black Friday. This is probably like one of the better Black Friday deals.
$350.
$350. That's ridiculous.
Somebody just launched an app update, and one of the updates is Dash compatibility. So you might need to recompile to have it work with Dash.
Oh,
I don't know.
interesting.
Windows 10 required. So if you're still on 8,
Yeah.
you should update. Vive also had some announcements. They have their third class of the Vive X accelerators. This is their incubator program. They have facilities in San Francisco, in I believe Singapore, and so companies can apply for some funding or support or guidance. And they have 26 new companies as part of this class of the Vive X, including Cloud 359 Studios, who we chatted with at GDC. There's also one company called Neurable that they're building a brain control system for the Vive, so you don't have to have whole controls. But I think we've been to some of these open houses.
We're just throwing out brain control now?
Yeah,
That's
I know. They're EEGs basically.
Okay.
We we went to one of these open houses where at the culmination of one of these classes, and not all the companies that come out of these incubators, this incubation period, come out fully baked. You know, they're still in the demo phase, but it's investment put in VR, and it allows for them to find the resources to experiment more. Here's a story. Did you put this in here?
I sure did.
Using virtual reality underwater.
I
How
saw
did this work?
the idea is that if you can create and they've created prototypes that are waterproof, and it creates an additional haptic on you to be in an environment like that. Like you have the water pressure on you, and so if you have a game like that you can actually create movement that's more real. So if you have an underwater game paired with you being actually underwater, it looks totally ridiculous. Like somebody wearing a headset underwater.
So it's like a phone-based headset. They're trying to create a phone-based headset that can work underwater. And I don't know if this prototype is made for like therapy experiences or gaming experiences. But it's basically like, it's like a fancy Gear VR Google Cardboard with some type of app experience that's designed for, scuba experiences.
I mean, this is basically like what we were doing with Birdly, where it adds additional haptics and inputs into your system. It seems totally over the top.
Yeah, I mean, zero-G makes a lot of sense. The simulation of zero-G, astronauts do it in a giant, neutral point lab. So being in water, wearing VR, floating around on like the International Space Station, would that be compelling to you?
What about one of those air chambers where you feel like you're skydiving?
Oh, that'd be cool.
There you go.
That'd be cool.
Indoor skydiving with a VR headset.
Yeah,
I mean, this is just, it's like the roller coasters, right? You're adding some type of haptics, with the roller coasters, the fixed ride of the haptics.
Yeah.
It just seems so incredibly dangerous to not have visual input in an environment where stuff like that is flying around.
Or underwater.
Yeah.
Right? You can lose your orientation. Like if you're, you'd have to be wearing, you'd have to have a scuba tank.
They had a snorkel in this demo.
Snorkel.
And they're in a pool.
Yeah. That's, I don't like that. That's not for me.
Next time we talk, Doom VFR will be released.
Oh my goodness. Ooh,
Comes
big
out
release.
this Friday.
Okay, for Vive and PSVR.
Yeah. And this will be an interesting question.
Do you have our PS aim, or do I have the PS aim?
I don't know. I'm not playing on PSVR.
Oh, you're not.
Why?
Okay.
Why would I? Because of the gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PS aim controller.
I don't know. I'll probably play it on the Vive, but I would like to play it on the Rift. And so this will be the big.
The big test of whether they hard encoded the blocking of Rift.
After seeing it at E3, I sent them the question. I said, is there definitely going to be some level of Rift compatibility, as there is with every Vive game?
Yep.
And I got no response. And so, I don't know. It seems like with the lawsuit with ZeniMax versus whoever.
We'll do a three-way test. We'll test it on Vive. We'll see if it works on Rift, and we'll also see if it works on Windows.
Oh, mixed reality
headsets, because that'd be really funny if it worked on those headsets and not on the Rift.
They released the min specs for it, though, and it's higher than the min spec for the hardware. So we're seeing that now, where games actually require more than Oculus says that the system does.
Like graphically.
Yes,
It used to be the 970.
So now the min spec for this is the 1070.
Oh wow, that's significant.
That's yeah.
It is. Like my 980 even is well below that.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's coming out Friday. And,
Dang.
I don't know. They're saying it's a 5-hour game.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only one of these 3 big ones from Bethesda that is made for VR. Skyrim and Fallout are conversions.
At the end of this full year, or one full year after December last year was when Touch came out, we gotta look back. We gotta do a retrospective and look back at all the games that have been released this year. There's so much good stuff.
I think with all the
for
people
VR.
getting headsets this Christmas, this holiday, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that in projections. And then finally, coming out, I believe, next week is the beta for the Settlers of Catan in VR.
What does that mean?
It's not just a version of playing the board game.
It is a version of playing the board game in VR around a virtual table.
Yeah, I like it.
You're on the actual island of Catan playing Catan.
Why don't you isn't virtual tabletop like
It's
okay
a
enough
thing.
for that?
Yeah, but this is like, I think
It's more immersive because you have the sights and sounds of Catan around you.
like playing virtual chess in an environment, or virtual checkers in an environment like a pool hall VR, or something like a rec room thing. Very basic. You're picking up physical pieces and moving them around. With something that gets more complicated, we saw it with the werewolf game was just voice based, but with a game like Catan, we have to hold cards, and you have to have menu items, and there are things to keep track of. Like that UI, people have to figure that out. And there's no easy standard for support for complicated tabletop games. And so I'll be really interested to see how the Catan game plays out in VR.
We need to pay our net neutrality tax because the internet sucks here today.
Yeah.
They heard what we were saying.
I know.
Testing this week. Hey, what have you guys been testing?
I don't know. I'm finally kind of on board with the iPhone portrait mode stuff. I don't know, kind of a hater with the fake. You could tell if you really looked at the
bokeh.
edges. The bokeh's fine, but the edges of the thing that's supposed to be in focus is not there, and it still kind of bugs me. But it's nitpicking because once you start taking enough pictures, you realize, I can get along with this because it really does create that nice depth of field.
You can always turn them off.
You're still just talking about portrait mode, not the studio effects like the
No,
black and white.
I
Crazy.
have yet to have any really good fun with that. No, just the standard portrait mode. It works on turkeys. I went to a farm. Works on chickens, pigs. I figured there was some facial recognition stuff.
I know that was Apple's big business case for this phone.
And I got some nice pictures of some pigs. So
Yeah, they're good enough. They're better than if you did not have them on.
that's it.
For the most of the case, you would rather have it than not have it. Did we talk about this app? I made a recommendation to Will and Gary last week, but there's an app called Focus, Focos, and it lets you see the depth map that your phone takes of you.
That's neat.
So
of the portrait, of the front-facing camera.
the front face, which is new for the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
And technically, the depth map, because with the way portrait mode works, is it takes a standard photo, and then it also creates a depth map using 2 cameras on the back of the wide angle, not the wide angle and the telephoto, and applies that depth map. So at some point, there's a cutoff, and then it blurs everything on the back naturally.
Yeah.
With the front-facing camera, depth map's generated by the dot projector, and so it should be much more accurate than just using 2 cameras next to each other, 2 lenses next to each other. And with this app called Focus, I'm gonna do a quick picture right now to just show you how it works.
Mm-hmm. So you're in the app. You're now hitting take picture.
I've taken the picture, and if I go to
Oh
the
my
effect,
God.
you can actually
It's really
see-
creepy seeing the slices.
It's a side of your head.
well, you can see. I can actually rotate it.
What is happening?
Well, it's showing, and you can set where your bokeh starts
What?
and where the edge.
Dude, can we just? How did it get a profile of you when you took the shot head on?
Because it's just having the layers.
Am I wrong?
No, it's pretty great. Fred had tested Eric Chang. I saw him post about this app, and it's amazing.
That's wild.
And the slices are what you would say, like a millimeter or 2 millimeters thick. They're, it's actually pretty granular.
It's not like 4 or 5.
But the impressive thing is that not only the distances between the slices, but the accuracy. Like it's not thinking that anything in the background is in the foreground or anything in the foreground is in the background. And using that front facing, and then using the setting, you can actually set, well, where does the background actually begin? Well, behind my head.
Oh, so you can blur what you want.
I can blur the things in the front too, because technically, depth of field also works for front.
Right, sure.
So I can have things in the front.
Are you saying this solves the problem of that blurry edge?
Yeah. Well, the edge is also in the software. So how do you blur? Because you also have to create. You have to do clipping.
It seems like this app is just showing you how Apple does this behind the scenes. It's making it instead of a seamless process. You're seeing all the steps that you probably take.
Oh, that's wicked.
That's amazing.
That's so cool. I mean, that's just neat.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the computational vision stuff is powerful.
I want to do it with a pig now.
You and the pigs. I got 2 new things that I was testing.
Yeah.
I was creeped out by the Amazon giving Amazon entry to your house product. I don't think we talked about that, but
I'm sure we did.
So I got a Ring doorbell. I'm not thrilled about how it's a video doorbell. I'm not thrilled how they charge you $3 a month if you want to have access to video recordings, but wow, that is a good picture of a pig.
That's what I'm saying.
But so far it's been okay in terms of being able to, answer. I have to work on the Wi-Fi availability. Oh, that is so creepy, Norm. Wi-Fi availability down by my door, just because of how much interference exists within my neighborhood.
It's a doorbell.
It's a video doorbell.
And and it goes to your phone.
Goes to my phone. Or to wherever you sort of want it.
What was the install process like?
It was very simple. You could actually hardwire it into your regular doorbell if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But this had a USB battery pack, so you just charge it up and then mount it there and connect it to Wi-Fi.
How long does it last, the battery?
So they claim it's 6 months, but in real world practice from people I know that have it, it's been 3 to 4 weeks.
Wi-Fi,
charge. So it connects to your Wi-Fi and you get record of who came by to try to drop stuff off.
Oh, but you also get notified if you could potentially unlock your door if you had that set up.
No, because this isn't hooked up to, I don't have a smart door.
I'm saying if you had the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, there's better systems for that. And lastly, I got a new laptop. I got the Asus ZenBook that is recommended by the Wirecutter. It's a Windows 10 Ultrabook, and it has a thumb scanner. I love it so far. I got it for a steal off Amazon, under $400. And Norm is still creeping us out with these focus pictures.
This is wicked, man.
So I got it for a ridiculous price, and I love it. It's a snappy little Ultrabook, incredible battery life. I got 10 hours on it the other night, and I really like its lightweight portability, and it'll get a Infinity Gauntlet sticker soon.
Congratulations. We didn't have you when we were talking about the Black Friday, all the Black Friday. Did you go to the Best Buy?
I went to a Best Buy kiosk in the Fort Myers, Florida airport.
Okay.
No lines.
No lines. Okay. Did you buy anything?
No, there was no doorbusters for some reason
Yeah,
at
no
the
pain
vending
busters?
machine.
No.
Did it go
No slot busters?
Did things go on sale at midnight?
No.
They
I wasn't in the airport at midnight.
What a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it was being in airports on Black Friday, just the whole airport ecosystem for shopping wasn't very doorbuster friendly, I will say. They didn't have systems to manage lines like the airlines did. So I bought everything online. I actually didn't go out this year just because I was traveling.
Your most satisfactory purchase.
That ZenBook for under $400 was amazing. My son is having a Nerf party for his birthday next weekend, and so there's a lot of Nerf related purchases that I got that I'm pretty thrilled with. But I bought some non-technical items like clothes, and I used the Amazon coupon for a book. I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, $5 off a $20 book.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best deals every year.
We got Harry Potter Illustrated.
Did you finish Artemis?
I did finish Artemis.
We haven't talked about that.
I think we saved that for another
All right,
week.
sounds good.
Did you finish it?
No.
I haven't finished it either.
Wow, you guys.
I know.
You were down in L.A. too. I expected Rosario Dawson to take you to the finish line. No.
And I think that does it this week for This Only Test. Thank you guys out there. Thanks again to Danica for filling in while Kishore was
Props to
busy
Danica
with
for
other
holding
duties.
it down.
Yep.
Doing a better job than me.
And we will be back next week with more stuff. Hope you feel better, Jeremy. Hope everyone feels better. There's definitely a cold going around. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
just the E. coli that I'm incubating out there.
This might be. Is that what
legit
that is?
happening out there?
That's
Yes.
under the light. All right. This appears to be a 2-year-old outro. We'll see if it plays.
Hi there, I didn't see you.
You know what else I do when I'm laying in bed? Every 3 days. I remember that. You gotta flip your pillow over. Change your sheets.
That was when Norm was still
Every
single.
3 days.
I'm done.
See ya.